Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Flight Lieutenant Elise Carey. We warmly welcome the family of Trooper Robert Herbert Morley, whose story will be told shortly. We're honoured to acknowledge Mr. Matthew Pottinger, United States of America, Mr. Greg Moriarty, Secretary of the Department of Defence, and the accompanying delegation. We're also honoured to acknowledge Major General Sutin Muan Pitak, Thai Armed Forces Headquarters, Thailand, and Brigadier Jonathan Beasley, Commander of the Joint Counter-Improvised Threat Task Force. We warmly welcome the Naval Association of Australia ACT section, especially today on the 77th anniversary of the sinking of HMAS Yarra. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors, and students on behalf of the following school. From Queensland, the Cathedral School of St Anne and St James Primary Department, Mundingborough. I invite you all now, if able, to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Trooper Robert Herbert Morley. Robert Herbert Morley was born on the 5th of April 1891 in Gormandale, Victoria, becoming part of the large family of Jesse and Sarah Morley. He grew up in Gormandale and attended Gormandale State School. His father died in 1897 when Morley was just 6 years old. Morley later left school to work as a farmer on the family property. He and his brother Charlie enlisted in Melbourne on the 28th of June 1915. After their initial training, the brothers were allotted to the 11th Reinforcements to the 4th Light Horse Regiment. The Morley boys embarked from Melbourne on the 29th of October aboard the transport ship Palermo, bound for Egypt. Soon after arriving in Egypt, both brothers contracted mumps and were briefly hospitalised. The 4th Light Horse Regiment was engaged in security tasks around the Suez Canal until April 1917, when the regiment moved into the Sinai, providing rear security during the Allied advance. The 4th Light Horse Regiment's first major action took place on the 31st of October, when an attack was launched on the town of Beersheba in an effort to outflank Gaza. Late in the day, with the situation deteriorating, the 4th and 12th Light Horse Regiments attacked Beersheba at the gallop, capturing the town shortly after. Both Morley and his brother Charlie took part in the now legendary charge. The Light Horse Regiment suffered relatively light casualties, but one of those killed was Trooper Robert Morley. He was buried in the Beersheba War Cemetery the following day. He was 26 years old. The war years were unkind to the Morley family. 5 siblings died in Australia due to ill health. 2 other brothers were killed fighting in France. Private George Thomas Morley was killed with the 26th Battalion in early August 1916, and Private Edward Ernest Morley, serving with the 21st Battalion, died of wounds received at Bullecourt in May 1917. Archie, who had served with Edward in the 21st Battalion, returned to Australia after being wounded in 1917, and Charlie returned to Australia on compassionate grounds in 1918. Morley's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Trooper Robert Herbert Morley, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.